Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining me today for today's webinar, Understanding QuickBooks Online. My name is Shanette Sullivan. I'm a wife of an amazing husband, the mother of four world changers, a CEO and co-founder of the Chicana Group LLC. I'm an accountant, client coach, and consultant, advanced certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, a certified financial education instructor. I'm an authorized IRS e-file provider with 20 years of tax experience, a member of the National Association of Black Accountants, and a top 100 Pro Advisor nominee for 2022. Some of the services we offer are individual and small business tax preparation, QuickBooks coaching and consulting, small business bookkeeping, and financial seminars. And what I do and why I do it, I help small business owners reduce the stress and overwhelm of managing their business finances and helping them gain peace of mind so that they can focus on what they do best. And I do this by helping them organize and take control of their finances, understand their numbers, and make key strategic business decisions. I do this, and I do it because of my own personal journey. When I was a young child, both my mother and my father were entrepreneurs. And as a young child, I recall my father being injured. My father was injured because, as an entrepreneur, he worked in construction. He was injured, which made my mother the sole breadwinner. With her being the sole breadwinner, that means that she had to carry the brunt of the load at that time. And I saw her work sun up to sundown. I saw at that time it was a cash-based business, so I saw that the cash was flowing from one hand to the other, but we rarely had anything to show for it. And then I would frequently see my mother, see the stress on her face, and I would see the overwhelm, and I would see all of the things that she experienced. And I just wanted to make it all better. I just wanted to be able to just write her a check. So I can recall being about 6 or 7 years old, somewhere in that time, and around that that time period, 6 or 7 years old. And I can recall writing her a check, and I think it was about for $10,000. It was my first concept of money and learning how to actually write a check. So I figured if I wrote her a $10,000 check, it would make it all better. Needless to say, when I wrote her that check, it had no value. And so again, I understand that that was my first concept of money and the concept of writing a check. And I remember her saying that, it was so sweet and she really appreciated it, but it didn't have any value. So I can recall even a few years later, because as she continued to work, she continued to build. And again, she was a full-time entrepreneur with many children, with 7 children. And as she continued to work, a few years later, I still saw the stress. I still saw the overwhelm. So I said, if I write her an even bigger check, that will make it all better. Well, that didn't make it all better because I was maybe about 11 or 12 years old at that time, and still I had wishful thinking because I understood that the check was no good. I just had wishful thinking. If I could just write her a check, it would be all better. Well, fast forward, she finally got her dream job. And after she got her dream job, 9 months later, she was gone. She passed away. And when she passed away, there were 7 of us. There were 7 children, and 4 of us went in one direction, 2 of us went in another direction, and another one of us went into another direction. So that caused us to move from home to home, from place to place, sometimes staying in hotels, having our clothes in trash bags, garbage bags, moving from home to home. But one of the things I knew, because at that time I was 14 years old, but one of the things I knew in my mind that I knew once I got to college, I wanted to be a business major. I wanted to major in accounting because I specifically wanted to help small business owners. So fast forward, I was 14 years old. I made it to college. And I had a full scholarship. I had a full academic scholarship. And I could have stayed at home because I went to a local university. Shout out to South Carolina State University. I went to South Carolina State University, which was in my hometown. So I could have gone to school for free. But I chose to take out a student loan because I just needed somewhere to lay my head. I just wanted somewhere to lay my head. So fast forward, I get through South Carolina State University, had somewhere to lay my head. But all throughout the journey, I understood what my purpose was, and which is why I'm here today. I majored in accounting specifically to help small business owners reduce that stress and overwhelm. So as I present to you today, as I'm here today, as I speak to you through the the avenue or the tool of QuickBooks Online, I hope that today's presentation or today's webinar helps you in some way reduce that stress and overwhelm that comes along with managing specifically your business finances. So as we move further into the webinar, it's very important to note that at least 20% of businesses fail in the first year. The SBA and other statistics and other sites cite that over 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. Over 50% of them fail in the first 5 years. And the odds of success really go up when they implement an accounting software, because there are so many businesses, they fail because there's no accounting software. They're running by the seat of their pants. They jump into business with drive and passion, have absolutely no idea of what they're doing. And so they tend to fail because they don't have anyone to guide them. They don't have anyone to walk with them. And more importantly, they don't have an accounting software. So which is why we're here today to introduce and to help you understand QuickBooks Online and why it's important. Okay, so some of the technical benefits of QuickBooks Online is that it's a cloud-based software, and the URL is provided here. But if in the event that you're not able to type in the URL, simply Google search QuickBooks Online. So there's no expensive equipment or network to maintain. They have QuickBooks mobile and desktop apps. It's accessible across multiple operating systems and devices. There's real-time multi-user access from anywhere. So unlike QuickBooks Online, unlike QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online can be logged in from anywhere with a mobile device or a web internet access. Unlike QuickBooks Desktop, which has to be, as it implies, installed on a desktop. And when it's installed on a desktop, you can actually really use it on all the machines because it's specific to that one desktop, and it's usually specific to one user. And if one user is in it at one time, another user cannot use it at the same time. So you're not able to use it simultaneously. So that's one of the differences with QuickBooks Desktop versus QuickBooks Online, with QuickBooks Online, you can log in from anywhere and you can have multi-user access. So multiple people can be logged in at once, and the changes that are made within your QuickBooks Online file will be saved at the same time. And it is hosted and updated and secured by Intuit. So some of the workflow benefits is that it has an integrated integrated document management system, which means that if you have transactions that you record in QuickBooks Online, you can actually attach documentation or attach workflow information to that specific transaction. So if you have notes that you'd like to add, if you had meeting notes, or if you have client notes that you'd like to add to a transaction, or if you had receipts that you'd like to capture, and which the receipt capture feature is available, you can attach it to specific transactions within QuickBooks Online. And we'll discuss that as we move further into the webinar. It also has an ecosystem of apps which seamlessly integrate with QuickBooks Online. So what happens is if you're using eBay, if you're using Amazon, if you're using Shopify, if you're using Stripe, Square, PayPal, different integration or commerce systems, payment processing apps, those apps actually integrate with QuickBooks Online very well. And there's less data entry because you're able to sync your bank account directly to QuickBooks Online. And there's no accounting copy to manage. As with QuickBooks Desktop, you do not have an accounting copy to manage. You simply invite your accountant to your QuickBooks Online subscription, and they can work seamlessly from anywhere they have a web connection. So as we discuss QuickBooks Online, we'll discuss some of the subscription levels and the features that are offered. So one of the things I have on the screen, and as you can see, there are different levels of QuickBooks Online. So as you can see, there are 4 main QuickBooks Online features or subscription levels, but there's also a standalone product called QuickBooks Online Self-Employed. And I have Self-Employed here on the screen for you to see, because what I've seen really often is that many business owners tend to utilize QuickBooks Online Self-Employed because it's the least expensive. But here's why QuickBooks Self-Employed is not the right version for every small business. And it's because QuickBooks Self-Employed was built for those who had what we call a side hustle. So say you're operating an Uber business, or you're paparazzi, or you have Mary Kay or something of that sort. And it's just something, just have extra income on the side. And of course, all of those other businesses can be substantial, but QuickBooks Self-Employed was built for those business owners who have one bank account. They have business and personal expenses in that account, and they're just basically going in as with QuickBooks Self-Employed and just separating business and personal, business and personal. The reason QuickBooks Self-Employed is not right for every small business is because it essentially is co-mingling funds. So if you are an LLC, QuickBooks Self-Employed is not on any level the right subscription level for you, because by law or by definition, the LLC is a limited liability corporation. And with it being a limited liability corporation, when you commingle funds, you are piercing what we call the corporate veil. And again, with QuickBooks Self-Employed, it is built for the business owner who has one bank account for personal and business expenses. That subscription level is not the right fit for business owners, especially those who are an LLC, S corporation, or C corporation. It's perfectly fine if you're if you are a sole proprietorship. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, of course, you're actually taking on the liability of the company anyway, because you're not protected. And also, even if you're a sole proprietor, you want to make sure you have a separate business bank account anyway, because you want to make sure that your tax deductions are legitimate, and that the IRS can easily, if you're in the event you're ever audited, the IRS can easily see, track what your business expenses were versus your personal expenses. So that was it in a nutshell. I know I probably gave more information than necessary for QuickBooks Self-Employed, but I wanted to really clearly define that, because I've seen so many people sign up for self-employed when that's really not the right version for them. Okay. So some of the other subscription levels are Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. And I'll go into detail in some of the next few slides on what these subscription levels actually have to offer. And again, these prices change all the time. Intuit updates their pricing all the time. So once you view these and you see this this webinar, please refer to the site, the HTTP QuickBooks.intuit.com for pricing, the most up-to-date pricing information. So with QuickBooks Online Simple Start, you can track income and expenses, you can capture and organize receipts, you can maximize tax deductions, you have the ability to invoice and accept payments, you can run basic reports, you can send estimates, you can track sales and sales tax, and you have one user. You have two accountant users, which can be an accountant firm or a tax preparer, and you have the ability to run 20 plus standard reports. And when it says one user, that means one user who has a unique ID to log into your QuickBooks Online account. So that's the QuickBooks Online Simple Start. Now, for the QuickBooks Online Essentials, you have all of the features that come with the Simple Start, but you're also able to manage bills. So if you need to manage bills, if you need to pay bills, if you need to pay contractors or different things of that sort, QuickBooks Online Essentials is the right version, is the great option for you. So it offers multiple currencies, recurring transactions, which recurring transactions are, for example, it may be an invoice. You may invoice customers the same amount every month or every week. Be able to create a recurring transaction in QuickBooks Online so that you can really set it and forget it, and it sends out those transactions automatically. Okay, those invoices automatically. You can also track time. You have unlimited users for time tracking. So say, for example, if you are on Essentials, you have 3 users with user permissions, which means that 3 different people can log in with unique IDs with user permissions. Now, it says that you have unlimited users for time tracking. You have the ability to invite other users to your QuickBooks Online for time tracking purposes only. So say, for example, if you have multiple employees or you have contractors or something of that sort where they need to track their time, you can invite them to your QuickBooks Online to track their time, and they're able to enter that manually. QuickBooks also has an upgraded feature where you can actually track your time as a time management system, but we'll talk more about that in detail once we get further into the webinar. And then with QuickBooks Online Essentials, you have 40 plus standard reports. Now with QuickBooks Online Plus, you have all of the above from Simple Start and Essentials. Plus, you have unlimited users for report only. Now, users for report only, I say this is great for nonprofits and also for larger businesses who have board members and different things of that sort who want to see the financials. And so QuickBooks Online Plus allows you to invite specific users to your QuickBooks Online account so they can see your reports only. They don't see anything else within your QuickBooks Online account as it relates to your transactions and different things of that sort, but they're able to see the reports that they need as it relates to anything that's needed for uh, anything that's needed for decision making and anyone you'd like to provide that access to. Okay, so you're able to create purchase orders, you're able to use class and location tracking. Now we say a class is, we refer to a class as maybe multiple departments within your business. So you're able to track profitability or assign transactions by department within QuickBooks, or you can sign it by location. Now, location is simply what it says. Location means that you have multiple locations of your business and you're able to track that in QuickBooks Online. You're also able to track inventory using what we call the FIFO by location and class. You're also able to create inventory bundles, projects. You can create projects within QuickBooks so that you can track that project profitability. So for example, if you're in construction and you wanted to track the profitability of each project, each construction project, you're able to create that within QuickBooks Online. Also, if you're in a consultant or another service-based business, if you have various customers, you can actually track your profitability by customer, by project within QuickBooks Online. You're also able to prepare and print 1099 miscellaneous forms, create budgets, two-sided items, which is more of like an accounting term. You have access for 5 users. So unlike Simple Start and Essentials, Simple Start that has 1, Essentials that has 3, QuickBooks Online Plus actually allows you to have 5 users with permissions. And you have access to 65 plus reports, and you're also able to track project profitability. So for QuickBooks Online Advanced, this is the most robust subscription level. With QuickBooks Online Essentials or with QuickBooks Online Advanced, you have all of the features from Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus, but you're also able to pay bills. You have advanced reporting. You have access for up to 25 users. As you can see, it's for larger businesses to allow for the usability across the organization. You also have custom user permissions. You have bulk invoicing where you can send multiple invoices at one time rather than sending individual invoices to each customer or client. And you also have access to Priority Circle membership, which gives them or gives you access to a customer success manager. You have premium and customer care, and you have specialized QuickBooks training. And the fact that you can have a dedicated manager or someone dedicated to your account is a great benefit, because as you know, or if you've worked with QuickBooks, you know that when you contact support, it's very rare that you will get the same person or you have the same person when you dial back in for a different question. So it really is a great feature to have someone dedicated to your account. So what we're going to do, we're going to pause right here and we're going to dive right into the QuickBooks Online demo company. Now, what you need to do, if you have the URL is provided here for you to access the QuickBooks Online company, but you're also able to Google at any time, go to Google and type in QuickBooks Online Test Drive, and you're able to pull up that test drive company within QuickBooks Online Test Drive company through the Google site or through Chrome. And I do want to add that Chrome is the best browser to use when you're using the demo company. Okay, so I'm going to simply switch here to go to the demo company. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I don't have the URL memorized. I don't have the URL for the test drive memorized. So what I'm going to do is Google QuickBooks Online Test Drive, and it's already saved. So I have to Google QuickBooks Online Test Drive. So once I'm at the test drive site, simply click on Test Drive Online. And what I want to do is use the United States test drive link. you can also, this is for the QuickBooks Online Plus, but they also have a test drive of the advanced version if you'd like to test that. But for today's training, what we're going to view is the QuickBooks Online test drive of QuickBooks Online Plus. So as you're logging into as you're navigating to the test drive, you're going to be prompted with a security verification, and you just want to select that I'm not a robot. Okay, so as it's loading, and depending on the time of day that you access the test drive, it may be slower sometimes than others, but if you give it some time to load, you'll be able to have the information, or you'll be able to use the functionality within the software. Okay, so typically when you receive a message like this, an error message, you simply need to refresh. Okay, just waiting for it to refresh. So, so we're here, and this is the view of the sample company. Now, once you're actually in QuickBooks Online, you actually have a subscription. It may look very different for you. So, depending on when you sign up for QuickBooks Online, the actual interface may change, but the behind the scenes is always the same. So this is the sample company, and I would suggest that anytime you want to try anything in QuickBooks Online, come try it in the test drive first. It'll actually give you a feel of what how the transactions work, a feel of how to actually operate within the software without affecting anything within your specific books. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk through how to maximize or how to streamline your setup, because one of the most important things in setting up your QuickBooks Online account is that the setup process would be great, so that it'll save you time and energy on the back end. So what we're going to do, as you saw, we're navigated to the gear icon here, right? And we're going to go to the account and settings. Now, when you're setting up your QuickBooks Online account, in actuality, they're going to walk you through a series of questions. When they walk you through those series of questions, of course, a lot of that information is going to be saved and it's already going to be loaded into QuickBooks. Well, after you've done all of that and gone through the initial review questions, you want to make sure you go to the gear icon at the top right corner of your screen and you access account and settings. So I am here on the account and settings menu. And again, this is to optimize the setup so that you can use use QuickBooks efficiently and effectively without having to make many changes as you continue to build out your account. Okay. So here you'll have what you'll see in the top option or the top box is company name. So here you have the option of using the company name. And for this sample company, the sample company is Craig's Landscaping and Design. What you can do is some companies, some businesses have a DBA and some have a name different from, they have a company name, but then they also have a DBA or a separate legal name. You have the option of entering your company name and your legal name within QuickBooks. If your company name is the same as your legal name, simply leave that box checked, and you can move forward into your EIN or your SSN. So if you have an EIN, you can list it here, or if you have a social security number, you can select the box to enter your social security number. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is click cancel here. One of the things to note that anytime you try to move forward without saving, you will receive this specific message or the warning to ask you, are you sure you want to leave without saving your changes? So for this instance, I do want to say yes, because I haven't made any changes. So I'm actually going to move forward. So with the company type, this is important, and this is really important because when you select the tax form in the industry and the company type, what it does is it generates the chart of accounts based on the tax form that you need to file. And it also generates a standard chart of accounts based on the industry that you select. So it's based on the tax form you select and on the industry that you select. Now, if you already have QuickBooks Online set up, and you've already gone through that process, it's fine that you have already set up, but it'll just mean that you'll have to create different accounts based on your specific tax form or industry. Having done this ahead of time or prior to setting that up, QuickBooks will generate some of those accounts for you. And we will, as we move forward, you can see that there are various options to make changes to those accounts. Okay, so for the tax form, you have the option of choosing sole proprietor or 1040. You can choose a partnership, or if you're an LLC partnership, you can choose a 1065, or you can choose an 1120S if you are an S Corp, or you can choose 1120 if you're an S Corp or C Corp. And then for a nonprofit organization, you will select 990. And then for the limited liability, you can simply select limited liability. If you're not a partnership or you're not an S Corp or a corporation, you can simply select limited liability. Now, if you're not sure, you can simply select not sure and make sure that you seek the advice of a tax professional so that you are aware of which tax form you need to file. Okay. So then here you would select an industry. So I would select here accounting industry. So I will select accounting, tax preparation, bookkeeping, and payroll services. And so I'm going to click. And so many businesses are partnerships. I won't say most businesses, but for the sake of the example, I'll choose a partnership. And I'm going to click save. Okay. Now on the next section is your contact info. With your contact info, you have the option of having a company email and a customer facing email. So say, for example, you have a company email, but you'd like to use a different email on your invoices or any communication that goes out to your customers. And so you can customize that as well. So we'll say info@quickbooks.com rather than no reply. So the company email is used when QuickBooks will, as you can see, it says where QuickBooks will contact you. And then the company facing email is the email in which your clients will see on your actual invoices or documentation that you send out to them. Okay. And then you have the option of entering your company phone number and your website. Now, I do want to add that entering this information here automatically gets transferred to your invoices. So entering this information here is really adding the information to future documents. So entering the information here will eliminate you having to add it elsewhere once you move further into setting up QuickBooks Online. Okay. So because I've clicked in this box, I need to add QBO.com, just add a website. So just click save. And again, as you're working in a sample company, you can come in and make changes, and it will clear out all your changes once you close your browser. So there's no need to be concerned. You can use test information, but again, as you close out your browser, all of your information will be deleted. You can start fresh as you come in to use the sample company or the test drive again. Okay, so here you can put in your company address or your customer facing address. And I generally say that with your company address, you get into your company address here, but you may have a separate customer facing address. So know that during COVID, many business owners had to work from home. So they had their company address as their home address, but their customer facing address for their customers or their clients, they use a separate address, a virtual or PO box or something of that sort for their clients to be able to contact them and to be able to contact them in the event they needed to contact them. So just wanted to point that feature out. And then also you can enter your legal address here. Now for the contact Intuit, communications with Intuit, you can simply click on the marketing preferences, and it just basically allows you to choose how you want Intuit to contact you or interact with you. Okay, so the next tab is the usage tab. Now on the usage tab is where you will see how many users you have within your account. So say, for example, if you have, and we can tell that this is QuickBooks Online Plus because there are 5 users available. With the 5 billable users that you will be able to click on right here, it shows that there are 0 users. So there's 0 or 5 users. So in order to add a user, you simply click on the 0 users and it'll take you to the screen, and I'll click on that screen. I'll click on that link for you to be able to see. It'll allow you to add a new user to your QuickBooks Online account. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the account and settings. As I am here, go back to my usage tab. Okay, and then the next section is the chart of accounts. Now, I generally say that the chart of accounts is the backbone of your accounting system. It is basically, if you think of a budget, if you think of a personal budget or a business budget, the line items in your budget have to be allocated to a specific account. The chart of accounts is just a list of accounts in your accounting system. It's really telling your money where to go, or it's really allowing you to say where it went. In most cases, many cases, is you're really categorizing to show where your money went. And all of the chart of accounts, the accounts in your chart of accounts, actually feeds to your financial statements. And so based on the company that I selected, or the industry I selected, and the tax form I selected, QuickBooks automatically created 44 standard chart of accounts. Again, that's 44 that it populated or that it created, but we're able to create up to 250 chart of accounts, or 250 accounts in the chart of accounts. Okay. And then you have what we call tag groups. And tag groups are used specifically if you wanted to track information as it relates to a specific item, or whatever your preference was. Tag groups allows you to drill down to information to tag it for a specific purpose, or whatever your specific reason is for wanting to tag it, to actually filter out. That's the best word. If you tag something, you can filter out by whatever that specific tag that you created is. Okay. And over here, you'll see at any time within QuickBooks, you have the option to upgrade from one subscription level to the other. And as you can see, it's for QuickBooks Online Advanced because there are 25 users that are available. Okay. Now on your sales tab, what you would do is you would click on the customize look and feel. And when you click on the customize look and feel, what it's actually essentially doing is allowing you to customize the way your sales forms look. And so once you click here, you click on the edit. And once you click on edit, you're able to change your templates based on what your preference is. And it's really interactive. And then you can actually add your logo if you had not added it on when you were setting up your company information. You can change the different colors, the color scheme, based on what your company logo is. You can change the fonts. And then you have the option of printing it out to actually review a sample of what your actual, to view what your actual file, what your actual invoice would look like. So as we move forward, I'm going to close here. I'm going to click done. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the gear icon to the right. I'll go back to the account and settings. And from the account and settings, we'll go back to the sales tab. From the sales tab, what we will do is for the sales and form content, what you can do is select your preferred invoice terms. So you can select net 30, due on receipt, net 10, 15, or 60, but you can also add a custom amount. So with the add new, so say for example, I want to do net 75. Now I just simply put in 75 days. Now click save. And once you select these options here, these are the default options. So whenever you create an invoice or you create a receipt or something of that sort, it will actually be defaulted to what your settings are here, which eliminates you having to recreate the same information each time. Okay, so the preferred delivery method is print later, which means that you can print the invoice later or you can send it later. QuickBooks gives you the option of sending an actual invoice or receipt or document. It gives you the option of emailing it at the time that you create it, or you can print it later or choose to send it later. Okay, so I'll select send it later. Now, if you'd like to include shipping on the invoice, you simply activate that option. You can click to have custom transaction numbers if you'd like to choose that. Then you can choose to include the service date on your invoice, whether you would like to offer discounts or to include discounts on your invoices. If you accept deposits, you want to make sure that you activate this as well, because if you accept deposits in your business and you do not see it on your invoice, you want to make sure that you come back here to the accounting settings to make sure that it is activated. Now, if you accept tips, you want to make sure that you activate that. And then you can select whether it's just for you or if it's for your team. So you can select for just me. And I'll just update my sales template. And I'm going to click Save here. Now for products and services section, you can show your products and service on sales form. You can turn that on or off. If you like to show a SKU or in your invoices as well, you can turn that on and off. If you have price rules, so say for example, if the price changes based on a certain quantity, you can turn that on and off here. You can choose to track your quantity and price rate and track inventory and quantity on hand if you're tracking inventory within QuickBooks. Now, this is a great feature that QuickBooks offers is they have the option to automatically add late fees to an invoice. So this feature is valuable. It's very valuable because what it does is rather than you having to resend an invoice or go back and update an invoice to add a late fee, QuickBooks will automatically add a late fee to the invoice and send it when this invoice is sent out to the client or customer after so many days. Okay, so what you can do is select to have a flat fee added to the invoice. So say, for example, you want to have $35 late fee. You can choose to have it once per invoice, once per month, or once per day. QuickBooks will automatically add a fee to that invoice based on the specifications that you choose when you're setting this up. So it can be a flat fee, and then you can choose that what grace period you'd like to offer. If you don't offer a grace period, again, you simply select none, or you could offer a grace period up to 30 days before the late fee is added to the invoice. Okay, and you can customize the name of it. So late fee, convenience fee, or different things of that sort, you can simply add or modify or customize what that name of that fee is. And you can choose to apply sales tax to the actual late fee. So in order to do that, you simply need to toggle that feature on to add that to the invoice. Now, you can add it as a flat fee, or you can add it as a percentage of the remaining balance. So we do 35% of the remaining balance, or again, you can do once per invoice, per month, or per day. Okay. So go to progress invoicing. I do want to save changes. I'll save changes. So as we go to progress invoicing here, progress invoicing, I clicked yes that I did want to save changes. Yes, I want to save. Okay. Okay. So I'll just click cancel since it's not allowing me to save. Okay. So we did the late fees. Now for progress invoicing. Progress invoices is for anyone who creates estimates. Progress invoices, as it says, it allows you to create partial invoices from a single estimate. So say, for example, if it's a $20,000 invoice, I'll click update. Okay. So if it's a $20,000 invoice and a $20,000 estimate, but you're billing it in increments based on when you perform or complete the project, you can send multiple invoices from that one estimate. So you can do a specific amount. So say, for example, you want to send $4,000 or $5,000 invoices. You're able to do that with progress invoicing. You'll be able to send multiple invoices from one single estimate. Okay. So here on the messages, click yes for save. It'll allow me to save it this time. Okay. It did allow me to save it. Okay. Now for your messages. Now this is the message. This is the message template or the default email message that you can send. You can customize it here for when you send it out to your customers or your clients. And you can choose whether you're going to customize it for your invoice, if you're going to send an estimate, credit memo, sales receipt, statement, or refund receipt. If you don't choose a specific sales form, what it'll do, it'll have the same custom or the same default message here. So what you can do is customize this email in the email message for the template here. And then you can also have a copy email to yourself. So you can, once the invoice or sales form goes out, you can have a copy email to yourself for verification or to make sure that you're aware of that it actually went out. You can also copy others on an invoice. You can also blind copy others on an invoice that you send. Okay. So then again, on the sales forms, you can customize the estimate, invoices, and other forms. So you can actually customize the messages here as well. Okay. So again, setting this information up ahead of time will really save you time in the long run as you're continuing to use QuickBooks and to navigate and to make sure that you're using it more efficiently. Okay, so I'm going to click cancel here. So then what I'm going to do here for the reminders, a great feature with QuickBooks is that you don't have to remind clients of when an invoice is due. QuickBooks will send three automatic reminders. So you can set the time frame when those reminders go out. So if you set out reminder 1, you can select the number of days that it should go out, whether it's before or after the due date. Okay. And again, you can customize the message that goes out. Okay. And you can customize whether it's the first name, the full name, last name, company name, or display name. And display name is simply the information that you input for the vendor at the time that you set it up. Okay, and then again, you have three different reminders that QuickBooks will automatically send out on your behalf automatically. Okay, so I'm going to click cancel here. And then for the online delivery, with online delivery, one of the things I would just add here is that you have the option to choose show short summary in email or show full details in email. But one of the things I've seen is where if you uncheck the PDF attached, that'll actually that would actually really make sure that someone clicks on the specific link that's in the email. So for example, when you send out an invoice, you send it with an email and there's actual link that your customer can click on. So if you send a short summary, they'll click on that. But if you have the PDF attached, they'll simply click on the PDF and do not have to click on the link. The issue, I won't say the issue, the thing with that is when they click on the PDF and not click on the actual link, you're not necessarily seeing when they actually open the email. So once your customer, your client clicks on the link in the email, QuickBooks will be able to show you and you'll be able to see on the sales menu, on the sales form, on the sales center, when that email was opened. So you can go back to the invoice and you'll be able to see when that invoice was opened and that it was delivered. So that's just one small tip there. Again, you can continue to keep the PDF attached, but I generally suggest that if you uncheck the PDF attached, that way you'll be able to know when someone opened the actual invoice. Okay, so I'll click cancel here. And the last feature on the specific sales tab is the statements. So you have the option of showing the table, aging table, whether it's 30, 60, 90, 100 days past due, you're able to show this aging table on the invoice or on your statement. And you can turn that feature on and off here. Okay. So the next one is for expenses, bills, and expenses. This is for if you bill your clients or your customers for expenses and you want to track items and expenses by customer. If you want to make your expenses and items billable, again, you will need to turn these features on here in order to make that available. If these are not turned on, you will not see those options when you're actually categorizing or creating purchase forms or different things of that sort. Okay. So you have the option of showing items on the table, showing item tables on your expense and purchase forms, or showing tax fields on your expenses purchase form. So again, these are options that you can toggle on and off based on your preference. Then if you're using purchase orders, you can turn that on or off. Now, if you go into QuickBooks and you do not see the option to use purchase orders, it's typically because you don't have that feature turned on within your settings. Okay. And again, you can create a default message here to be sent with your purchase orders. Now, the next tab is your time. Now for time, QuickBooks has the option of keeping time rather than doing it manually. It allows you to schedule out time for your workers. It's really like a time tracking system where workers can clock in and out. And so it's real-time reports and then it's time off management as well. So you can track your worker mileage, you get alerts and notification, you can manage and budget hours for projects, and you can track it where your teams can use it on their mobile devices as well. Okay, and you can, if you're interested in the pricing, you can check out the pricing here. Now, for the first day of the week, you can choose your first day of the week, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever your preference is. And then for the timesheet field, you can turn those fields, those options on or off here. Okay. Now on the last tab, on the advanced tab, what you would do is for the accounting portion, what I would advise you to do is to check with your accountant or tax professional to understand which specific fiscal year or accounting method you use. So this would specifically be used for or set up at the advice of an accounting or tax professional. So you can change your accounting method here based on the advice that is given. And then you can choose your first month of your fiscal year. For some organizations like nonprofit, their fiscal year may start in June or July, and you're able to select those options here. For your company type, this was, as you can see, it was pulled from the company settings tab. And so because I selected 1065 on the company tab, it automatically defaulted to the tax form that I selected here. Now, chart of accounts, you can choose to have account numbers or not. You can choose to have a shipping account and for a discount account. So if you offer discounts and you want to customize the name of that account, you can choose discounts given, or you can actually create a different account for what you would like to have that name for that account to be. Okay. And then if you offer discounts, you want to make sure that you indicate what type of account that is. And then you also have a billable expense account. And so QuickBooks, it defaults to an expense account, but if you have a specific account that you created for billable expense, you can enter that there. Okay. Now, we mentioned classes and locations. If you want to use classes or if you want to track transactions or expenses or income by classes or location, you want to make sure you turn those features on here. All right. For automation, these are on for if you want to fill forms with previously entered contact, then you'll be prompted to do that. But when you prompted to do that, you want to make sure that the information is accurate, because sometimes if you pre-fill a form, the amounts are entered from what the previous transaction entailed. And so the amount may not always be different. So if you're using that feature, you want to verify that the amounts on the specific transaction is correct, or whether it's income or expense, you want to make sure that those amounts are correct when you are pre-filling your forms. Okay, so you can choose to automatically apply credits to an invoice. So if a client has overpaid an invoice or has a credit on their account, you can automatically apply it to the next invoice or the next bill. Okay, and then you have the option to automatically invoice unbilled activity and then apply bill payments. Now for projects, again, if you wanted to set up projects in QuickBooks Online, it has to be turned on here. Now, if you log into QuickBooks Online, you do not see the projects feature. That's because it has not been set up properly. It has not been activated here on the accounting settings field. Okay, so then for the currency, it's the home currency of the US dollar. If you'd like to change it to something else, you can do that by clicking on the pencil icon. And then the other preferences before we move forward is the date format. So you can change your date format to a different format. The date format for your invoices or any sales forms or any other forms within QuickBooks. You can choose the specific format that you'd like to use. Then you can choose your number format. And then for the customer label, for me as a financial professional, my customers I refer to them as clients. You may refer to them as customers, donors, guests, members, patients, or tenants based on what your business or your industry is. Okay. So you can warn if you can choose to warn if it's a duplicate check number. If you have bills and you enter bills into QuickBooks, you can turn on the feature to give you a warning if you enter duplicate bills for a vendor. And if you are in accounting, or if you have an accountant or working with an accountant, because journal entries are usually performed by a bookkeeper or an accountant, you can turn that feature on here. And then last but not least, on this specific settings, you want to make sure that you choose the 3 hour, you can choose up to 3 hours to stay inactive, because QuickBooks automatically signs you out after 1 hour. You have up to 3 hours before QuickBooks can log you out if you're inactive. So you have the option to change that from 1 hour to 3 hours. Okay, so that's it for the accounting settings for this initial setup. So I'm going to click done here. Okay, so I click done. So I'll just click X to get out of it. Okay, so here we are on the dashboard. So what we'll do is we'll walk through the basic navigation of QuickBooks Online to show you some of the features that are available. So here you have on the dashboard, the getting things done in the business overview. And one thing to note is that the plus new button is a really great feature because without having to navigate on the left navigation pane, you can perform many operations from here. So you can create an invoice, receive payment, an estimate. You can perform all these features simply by clicking on the plus new button. Then you also have options to create expenses and checks and different things for your vendors. You have actions that you can perform for your employees and other actions here as well. So just wanted to make you aware that many options or many features are available. Many actions are available from the plus new button. Okay, so on the dashboard, what you'll see is what we call the workspace. Now, anytime you are unsure of how you need to process or handle things within QuickBooks, QuickBooks is actually providing you the workflow of how things should flow within QuickBooks. So when you have money in, you want to make sure that you have already added your products and services. And if you have not, you will be able to add those as you go. But to add your product and services, you can manage customers. You can, as you click on either one of these circles, it'll actually take you to the screen to actually perform the function that it's associated with. Okay, so it's products and services, and this is an example of the products and services screen. So if you wanted to add a new product or service, you can simply click on the new button here, and you can choose whether it's an inventory, non-inventory, service, or bundle product or service. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And then again, you can receive payments, get funding. QuickBooks has a great feature where you're able to get funding based on what your qualifications are. So as you are using QuickBooks, QuickBooks can actually, it's really intuitive and actually can show what you actually qualify for. So as we move forward, you'll see on the capital tab that there are options for you to have funding or secure funding for your business. Okay. So then again, you can track your time. Again, if you click on the track time, when you're tracking time, this is what a manual timesheet would look like. And so you simply select the employee name and the date range, and then you will enter the details here. Okay. So for the money out, you would have the pay bills feature, the business insurance. You have the option of purchasing business insurance through Intuit. And then you're able to manage payroll as well. Now, accounting and experts, what happens is you can you get your business banking, and then what you could do is set up your business banking. Click here to set up your business banking, and then set up your business bank account, which means that you can connect your business bank account. So once you set up your business bank account, you'll click on the business bank account here, and then you'll review the transactions, and then you receive report and trends. But you're also able to manage your taxes here as well. And then QuickBooks has a feature where you're able to talk to a bookkeeper here. Okay. All right. So I will go to the business overview. And this is a great feature because it allows to see your business overview in a snapshot of your business. So with this, as you can see, it's interactive. You can choose to see your profit and loss in graphic form, where you can change the time period. And as you can see, you change the time period per quarter, or you can choose last month. As you can see, the numbers and the information changes. Then you can actually once you click on the actual numbers, it'll actually take you to what those actual income and what the income actually was for that specific time period. So it'll actually automatically populate the profit and loss for that time period. Okay, so we'll go back here to business overview. Again, you can have the option to look at your expenses for different time periods as well. You can see how many invoices you have outstanding, which are overdue, and then you can see how many deposits you've had within the last 30 days, how many have been paid within the last 30 days as well. And then you're able to see a snapshot of your sales based on the time period you specify. And then for the bank accounts, what you do, here's what's available. What's available here is a summary of all the bank accounts they have connected to QuickBooks. So with the bank accounts here, you can see that there's a checking account, a savings account, a MasterCard. So you're able to see everything in a summary of everything on the business overview page. And so if you want to see your balances within your bank balance and the balance within QuickBooks, you can see all of that summarized information here. Okay. So then we'll navigate to the banking tab. So on the banking tab, you'll have all of the accounts. Now, one of the things to note here is that once you're working through QuickBooks, as you're working through QuickBooks, they'll often have videos or guided tours for you to be able to watch, for you to be able to understand the operation that you're about to perform. So this is just an example of some of the videos and information or support that they provide. Okay, so as you can see here, there are 3 different accounts that are connected in what we call the bank feed. So the numbers that you see here, there's 25, there's 1, and there's 7. The 25 is an indicator of how many transactions are waiting to be reviewed. And when they're waiting to be reviewed, that means they're just basically sitting in cyberspace. These transactions were pulled in from your bank account, and it's just sitting here waiting for you to tell it where to go. So when it's telling you where to go, it's called a category or a match. And one of the things that QuickBooks will do when the transactions come in, QuickBooks will assign an account, but the accounts are not always accurate. So what you need to do as you go through is make sure that you select the appropriate category that the account is supposed to be assigned to. Okay, so as you're selecting the appropriate category, you can categorize it, you can match it, or you can record it as a transfer. But again, as you're going through and you see that the transactions are coming into the bank feed, QuickBooks will assign that account. You want to make sure that you really, and one of the things, and I wanted to show you that as well, you can actually sort by category. You can sort by the date or by the payee. Now, many transactions don't have payees. And so that's a great indication that you can go in and add a payee to those that do not have transactions. Okay, so I'll sort it by date again. But again, these numbers indicate that these transactions need to be reviewed. Anytime you see those numbers here, that means that they are not actually in QuickBooks. So they will not appear on your profit and loss statement or any of your financial statements. I've seen where some clients are wondering why their profit and loss is not matching what is in the bank account. And that's generally because they have transactions waiting here to be reviewed. And once they are reviewed, once they are categorized, then they can flow through to the specific account on your chart of accounts or in your profit and loss or financial statement. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the banking center. And once you go here, again, you can categorize a transaction. And many times when you're starting out, you're basically categorizing it, because you may be getting caught up on some things. So you'll go through and you'll categorize what we call categorize a transaction. And you'll select from the options that are already listed, or you can create a new category. And there are many functions that you can create or perform from the banking menu. So like creating a chart of accounts. This screen allows you to create an account in the chart of accounts. So you simply create the actual account and you save and close, and it's saved there. But it also allows you to create a new vendor or a customer directly from the bank feed. And so you can create the vendor here, or you can create a customer here, or an employee. And you can also choose to create with full details. So you can do a quick create of one of those vendors or customers or employees, or you can actually choose to enter all the details. Okay, so for the interest of time and it trying to load, I'm going to X out of here and go back to the actual transaction. Okay, so the category would be here. And so say, for example, if I want to categorize it as automobile expense, I'll categorize it there. And then I'll select Cal's telephone. And then it says that a match. So when it says match, it'll let you know. And when you use the term match, match means that there's a transaction already within QuickBooks that you can match that transaction to. And you want to make sure that if you're matching a transfer, if you're matching a transaction, if a transaction comes in, you want to make sure you match it, because if you categorize it and it's already within QuickBooks, that will duplicate your income or duplicate your expense. So once you're in the bank feed, you want to make sure you think about whether it's in QuickBooks already. If it is, you select find a match. If it's not, you can go ahead and categorize it. And then you have the option to record a transfer. Now, this is where I've seen a lot of business owners make mistakes. They record deposits as income when they should be recorded as transfers, because sometimes you're transferring money from one account to the other. So when you see a deposit or when you have a received amount, make sure you're properly recording it. Again, if it is a transfer, make sure it's recorded as a transfer, because you don't want to duplicate income or expenses. And then you have the option to record something as a credit card, record a transaction as a credit card payment. Okay. All right. So as you can see, you have the option of matching and adding. Now, QuickBooks, again, if you've already in here, it says match found. That's because the transaction is already entered. Now you have the option of finding a match, and if you click find a match, it'll actually come up with a matching record that may already be within QuickBooks. If you don't see that matching record, you just simply click on find other matches, and it'll pull up outstanding matches that you'll be able to track that to be able to attach that transaction to. Okay. So I want to leave without saving. Yes, I want to leave without saving. Okay. So next we will go to, you also have what we call app transactions, where the app transactions, you'll be able to connect eBay, Square, or Amazon Business to QuickBooks. We have what we call rules. So say, for example, when you're using rules allow you to set up something to where, so say, for example, you go to Lowe's or Home Depot every month, and you know that that's a transaction that you're going to incur every month. You can set up a rule that tells QuickBooks that anytime a transaction comes in that has a description of Lowe's or is for a specific amount, go ahead and categorize it to a specific account or to a specific category, and QuickBooks will automatically add that to your QuickBooks without you having to review it. Okay. And this is where you set up your tags. And for receipts, QuickBooks Online allows you the opportunity to scan your receipts from the mobile app. You're able to upload receipts from your computer. You can upload them from Google Drive, or you have the option of forwarding them from an email. So if you receive receipts by email, you can create a custom email address here. So I'll enter an example at qbodocs.com. You can enter that there, and then once you forward the emails to that email address, the receipts will automatically load to your QuickBooks Online account. So just wanted to make you aware of that feature. And again, once those receipts come in, you'll see those here in the for review section, waiting for you to review them. And then after they've been reviewed, you'll find them on the review tab. Okay. Now on the sales tab, this is where you'll see your invoices. Again, you were able to see a lot of this information on your dashboard. But the sales tab is in more detail. You have all of your sales that you can, this is a description of all of your sales, breakdown. If you have any estimates outstanding, you have unbilled activity, you have overdue invoices, you have open invoices, and then all the invoices that were paid. Now, in the event you wanted to add have a new transaction, you can create an invoice, a payment estimate, and different things of that sort, but simply by clicking on the new transaction. Okay. You also have the option of importing transactions from Square. Okay. Then you have the invoice tab, where it'll actually show you a breakdown of the invoices. This will show you a breakdown of the estimates. It will, if you have QuickBooks Online set up, QuickBooks Payments set up, it allows you to send payment links to your customers or your clients in order for you to receive payments. Okay. And then for customers, this is where you see an entire list of your customers. If you want to add a new customer, you can click on new customer here, or you can import a list of customers. Okay. Now this is your products and services list. Again, you saw where we can access this from the dashboard. And this is where you would enter your products and services or click new to add a new product or service. right? For the customers and leads, this is again where you can see a list of your customers. Now, one of the great features about QuickBooks is that they have purchased MailChimp, and your subscription comes with a free MailChimp plan, and you're able to send messages or send targeted and personalized emails to your customers who are already in QuickBooks. And so you have the option to try MailChimp's free, or you can sign up for a paid plan. The cash flow is where you can do cash flow planning. You have the expenses is where you'll see a full list of all of your expenses. Again, you can enter a new expense, a bill, a check, a purchase order, or vendor credit. You can even enter an expense by paying down a credit card. And then on the vendors tab is where you'll see a full list of your vendors. What is outstanding, if you have a purchase order, what's overdue, open bills. Again, this information will be in QuickBooks if you first enter the bills within QuickBooks. So many business owners don't enter their bills into QuickBooks. They simply just record the transaction or just record the payment on the bill. But if you enter your bills in QuickBooks to keep track of them, you will see that information here. Okay, and then just to enter a new vendor, you can simply click here, or you can actually import a list of vendors. Then you can prepare 1099s based on those vendors to whom you need to prepare 1099. Okay. All right. So again, you can also pay bills and order checks in the event that you wanted to order checks to pay your vendors. Okay. Now this is the project center. Now with project centers, again, you can start a project here. And if you'd like to see a full description of how that works, like I said, QuickBooks offers a variety of support videos that you can walk through as you are going through your setup. Okay, then you have the option of setting up your employees. You have the option of setting up QuickBooks Online payroll, and QuickBooks will run the payroll for you, or you can use the contractor feature. Now, one of the great features about the contractor feature is that you are able to add a contractor. Once you add a contractor, you have the option of emailing your contractor. And once you send an email to your contractor, what they will do, now we're going to do something for the sake of the example, for the sake of the training, is once you enter the email address here, QuickBooks will automatically send this to your contractor, and it will generate a W-9. So once the information is entered here, the email is entered here, QuickBooks will send an email to your contractor, and they will electronically complete the W-9 and electronically sign it. And all of that information will be synced back to your QuickBooks Online account without you having to have someone sign that information outside of QuickBooks. All of that information will be synced within QuickBooks. Now, if you did not want to email the contractor and you wanted to enter all of that information manually, you have the option of adding that contractor here. Okay, and you would actually have to add their personal details, whether they're an individual or business, and enter that manual information. Again, if you chose to email that person, all of that information would be filled out automatically. And the contractor feature is a great feature if you are, a sole proprietor, or if you are a single member LLC and you wanted to pay yourself. A contractor feature is a really great feature to pay yourself without having to actually just take money out of the account. You can choose to be set up as a contractor in your business if you are a single member LLC, and if you are not an S corp. So again, you have to be a single member LLC and to be able to pay yourself as a contractor through the contractor feature, so that you can pay yourself a wage, not a wage, but pay yourself from your business. Because that's one of the most common questions I get from business owners is, how do I pay myself? And one of the ways you can pay yourself is using the contractor feature, because it allows you to have direct deposit. And it also allows you, if you chose to write yourself a manual check. Okay. So if we go to reports tab here on your left, you have your list of standard reports, and you have an option of creating customer reports, and you also have management reports. Now, QuickBooks, if there's a specific report that you use on a regular basis, you can simply click on the star next to any one of the reports, and it'll add it to your favorites without you having to scroll to find that specific report. And you can also search for the report by clicking on the name. So if I click on balance, I have the option of selecting that specific report. Okay. All right. So as we move forward, you see a list of the different reports. Again, this is QuickBooks Online Plus. So there are over 65 reports available. So the business overview reports, who owes you, your sales and your customers, what you owe, and expensive vendors, sales tax, employees, and many of the accounts that your accountant will run are available here, as well as your payroll accounts, your payroll reports. Okay. So then you have an option for QuickBooks to calculate your sales tax. So in order to do that, you have to get started to set that up. QuickBooks will track your sales tax for you so that you'll be able to file those. And then you'll be able to file your 1099s at the end of the year. So you have the option of doing that here. You can e-file those through QuickBooks Online. And then QuickBooks has a mileage feature. And one of the most commonly overlooked deductions is mileage. With QuickBooks, you actually can download the mobile app and it will automatically track that mileage for you. If you did not want to track the mileage automatically, you can add the trip manually. So if you add a trip manually, you just simply select add a trip and you can enter the trip date, the distance, the starting point, and the end point. And you can indicate whether it was business or personal, and then you can enter the business purpose. And if it's a round trip, QuickBooks will create 2 entries for you without you having to create an extra entry. Okay, so that's a great feature. Now the accounting tab is where you could view your chart of accounts. So I'll click on See Chart of Accounts. This is the chart of accounts that was automatically generated. So there's 44 different accounts here. If I wanted to add a new account, I'll simply click on the new button here, and I can add an account. Okay. Again, you can add an account from your bank feed or from the banking menu, but you can also add an account here. Okay. So once you're adding the account, it'll ask you where you want to save it under, whether you want to save it under income, expenses, bank accounts, assets, credit cards, or liabilities, or as equity. You can choose what you want to save it under, which tax form, if you are aware of what tax form section it is, you can select that here. And then they enter the account name and the description. And once you have that selected, it'll show you a preview of what it will look like on your profit and loss statement. Okay, let's go and X out of here. Now, for your reconcile, the reconcile tab is where you would reconcile your book. And many business owners, many of my clients aren't sure what it means to reconcile. Reconcile really means that you want to make sure that whatever's in QuickBooks, or specifically for your bank accounts or for your credit card accounts, that they match what QuickBooks says it has. So you want to make sure that QuickBooks matches your bank statement or QuickBooks matches your credit card statement when it's time to move forward from month to month, because sometimes there is a difference. Sometimes the bank feed doesn't capture all the transactions, and you want to make sure that you're verifying that you have in QuickBooks what's on your actual bank statement. Okay. So then on your My Accountant tab, this is where you would invite your accountant to your QuickBooks Online file. If you click on My Accountant, you enter your accountant's email, and an invite will be sent to them to be able to access your QuickBooks Online. Now for the capital, this is the center where in the previous tab on the dashboard, it said access to capital or access to funding. This is where QuickBooks Capital has Marketplace and has QuickBooks Capital to be able to offer funding. So you can go here and apply for funding if it is available in your subscription level. And so you will be able to see if you're eligible, and you will be able to apply from within QuickBooks. And you also have the PPP Center. Now this was originated when the PPP loans were rolled out, but they're not accepting any more loan applications right now. But this is what the PPP Center was when it was active. And then you have Commerce, where you're able to review your orders from Amazon, Shopify, or eBay. And then you can review your orders and your payouts all from within QuickBooks Online. Okay, and then the last navigation tab on the navigation pane is apps. So if there's a specific app that you'd like to integrate with QuickBooks Online, you simply search for that app here. And once you pull up the app, you can actually connect it to QuickBooks Online. Okay. So that was a quick overview of how to navigate QuickBooks Online. So I hope that this was helpful. One of the main things that I wanted to point out is that it's really important for you to have your QuickBooks Online set up properly from the beginning, because it will help you streamline the process toward the end. So I thank you so much for your time today. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your Small Business Development Center consultant. When you can also follow me on LinkedIn and on Facebook. I am Shanette Jameson Sullivan, and I will be happy to assist you. But again, please reach out to your Small Business Development Center consultant for more information as to how they can provide assistance to you. So I thank you so much for your time today. And I hope that this was helpful. Please leave your feedback or comments or suggestions. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you.